Hello, we're here with episode 7, Michelle and I, and Michelle is braving the outdoors in California. You texted me just a couple days ago, excessive heat warning. How hot it's supposed to be today?
It's supposed to get up to 105
Oh,
today, and yeah, it's 8 o'clock over here, and it's 80 degrees.
you're
I, I
in,
yeah,
you're in your
I
beautiful
told you,
background.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm in the backyard today. Because I I told you let's start early because the earlier the better. It's just gonna keep getting hotter, and I don't like kicking my family out of the house.
Mhm.
So I try to go to the park, but the park, my association park doesn't open until 9 or 10, and so I'm in the backyard right now. But yeah, it's warming up. I'm feeling it. Got my
Hey,
water.
how are there rolling blackouts? I remember just living there. They whenever it gets too hot and on the grid, they do. Oh, it wasn't blackouts; it was brownouts. Are they doing that? I don't even know.
Not yet. They usually do that in August.
Oh, whenever it
Yeah.
gets hotter than 105.
Yeah, when it's I think when this is the beginning.
Yeah.
So when they start seeing too much energy is being used, and I don't know how all that's gonna work with uh, this is California I'm talking about. There California wants to go all electric everything when not we're already at capacity or overcapacitated with energy and electricity, that they're doing rolling blackouts. Like they want everything electric, cars electric, lawnmowers, everything that you have to plug in, but there's not enough as it is right now.
Right.
So I don't know how that's gonna work. We're gonna have to go back to the olden days and use candles and
Right. Well, that's how it is in a brownout, right? Like no, it just there you don't
Mhm.
have electricity for a certain amount of time. And okay, I went and rented a car. I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast. I don't think so. I probably should take
No.
notes about all the different stories I shared so I could keep track so I'm not saying it again. Bear with me if you heard this. But I went to visit California. I went to visit you
Yeah.
a few months ago, and
Yeah.
I booked the flight and I rented a car. And
That's when we did our pilot. We did our pilot this time.
okay,
That
yes.
time. Yeah.
So whenever we did the pilot, I was there
Yeah.
visiting, and I booked a car rental. So I went to pick up my car rental. It's like 10 o'clock at night after I've been traveling all day, and they said, "Well, you have an electric vehicle," and I said, "I don't want an electric vehicle," and they said, "That's all we have." And I started to feel anxious and panicky. Like I don't know the EV world. Like I don't know. I was visiting LA, I was driving to San Diego back and forth a couple of times. I don't know the mileage range. I don't know how to plug it in. I don't know how long it takes. My schedule was packed. Like I have to, like all this stuff is running through my mind. And I'm like, and she said, "Well, you can upgrade and get like a minivan." I'm like, "Minivan's more my style. Like, sure, I would love to drive a minivan, but I would have to pay more." They said you could like get a suburban. I used to have a suburban. And I said, I don't want to pay more. Like the point is, like, give me a Geo Metro or something. Give me like a
Yeah.
cheap little compact car. So luckily, my best friend had a Tesla that I had drove like a couple years ago. And so I knew you didn't have to turn off the car. Like I tried it out. So it's weird about the braking and the acceleration. And so luckily I had drove her car before, and she had told me this. So I'm like, okay, what does Stephanie say about her Tesla? Like I'm trying to remember. And I was really mad at California for doing that, like throwing me into this whole new world that I'm like, I just want to go to a gas station and fill up and take 10 minutes. And it ended up being a humongous debacle because I had to download an app to and create an account to put in my payment information to go charge it, and
Wow.
I had to find where the chargers were. And then whenever I found the charging stations, the ones that I found coming from LA to San Diego, it was in like uh the university area, and you needed a permit to charge there. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this
Wow.
it was a headache.
Wow. It's
Yeah.
and I that must be the start of it
Yeah,
because
it's happening. Just what
it
you said, like they're
yeah, by default, and then if you want a gas car, you're gonna have to pay more. Gas vehicle, not card, but a gas vehicle, you're gonna have to pay more
right. Or
to just be
yeah, pay.
regular.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. They're
Oh,
California's trying to not make it regular anymore.
wow.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah, that's the start of our whole future of I mean, we discussed on the last one AI, and how that's going, and it's so brand new right now that I don't even know where to begin. Um, but we were talking earlier, and I was mentioning the how my husband and his daughter during COVID would have like, well, two things. We're stuck in the house together all day every day. So, but because I was gonna say they would have like arguments, small arguments, about their point of views of things, but they're basing it off of what they're learning online, and online is before I'm gonna sound old now, but before, like, even before Google, it was Ask Jeeves. Remember Ask Jeeves?
How do you remember that?
Don't you remember that?
Now I
before
do. I probably would have never thought that in my whole entire life.
before Google, it was Ask Jeeves, and it was pretty much Google, but
Yeah.
a search engine. But it would you would type something in, and it would give you a whole bunch of stuff to similar to Google, but now it's all catered to what you normally. It's like algorithmed to where it pulls up articles based on your previous searches, knowing that you like specific um
Whatever.
what's
Yeah.
it called, your political status and your genres of everything, like it, those cookies, they call them cookies, they make it a cute little word, but it gathers everything that you look up to keep catering to it, so it keeps feeding you instead of giving you it, let me finish my sentence. It keeps feeding you what you're already like focused on, and uh, that verifies what you're already thinking, instead of uh hey, what about this point of view or that point of view, or it like keeps, and it's kind of getting out of control. I think they meant well when they started making this to help cater to help people find things better, things that they like more of a e-commerce type thing where they could sell more things because it filters everything out and gives you what you want, and you buy things more that way. I think that was the intention, but it's turning people against people because and they discovered it. My husband and his daughter discovered it during their conversations. He's like, that's not what I saw when I looked it up. She's like, oh, it's out there, it's there, but that's not what came up when he's like, look. And then they like did it together, and she searched something and he searched the same thing, and they got completely different results because
Mm,
it's based on
interesting.
her point of
Everything.
view and the
Yeah.
stuff she looks at, and it's based on him and his stuff because it gathers all the information that you're looking up, and it caters to your
View.
beliefs instead of being just
Factual.
kind of like journalists are supposed to be
Supposed to.
non-biased and show both sides of the story, or all sides of the story. There's not just two sides. There's like many sides. Um, that's how it was before, but now it's not like that.
No.
It shows you what you want to see, and so. But you don't. I think a lot of people didn't realize that, and I don't even know if they realize that now. That's really, if you look something up and you've been looking things up all this time, it gathers that information and it feeds you.
Into it to
It
perpetuate
caters
it. Yeah.
to your point of view instead of giving you so you don't have all the facts. So yeah, there were many discussions slash arguments in this house during COVID until they found out that, oh wait,
Getting
we're
played here.
yeah, but
Yeah, you
it's
have to.
been causing a lot of problems. I don't know if you've seen that, Desiree, with all the since I want to say since COVID, it, people are more online, and people can't during COVID, people couldn't, be in person, so everyone's online and they're doing all their research and stuff online, but it's just making you further on whatever side you're on instead of giving you a, I don't know, a blank slate point of view, or I don't know the word for that, but uh,
I remember with the last election, there was a lot of controversy about that on social media specifically. I don't know about like search engines or Google, but
searching too. Yeah,
on social media, it was like the algorithms it was feeding into what you already believe and bringing that up election wise, and they were paying to target. I mean, because people can pay to target their message for certain people groups or whatever. And also something interesting when you're talking about during COVID, I think about Facebook. I think that's the first time I've ever saw like tags about this is misinformation or this is, and that was a whole nother thing where a lot of the things that were labeled misinformation or untrue ended up becoming true, like all this.
oh
Yes,
wow.
all this. Yeah, it's crazy to live in this world where we have like access to abundance of information, but what's true and what's not, you have to really be a critical thinker and like discern and be
Yeah,
open-minded and seek the opposite perspective so you can, you know, filter it yourself rather than just letting
yeah,
algorithms filter it.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the start with
Chat GBT just came out.
yeah, AI. There's like three of them right now. Chat GPT, I think, is the most commonly known or used, but I think right now there's three of them, and I've used it a few times, and it's helped me. I put in I need an outline for this, or I need tell me how to approach my son's coach on this subject, and it gave me a very nice like email structured, and then I tweaked it just a little bit to make it, but I it was nice, it was very nicely worded and professional, and uh, it took mm, 15 seconds.
I was gonna say 3 minutes. It was so fast, 3 minutes. No, I think
Yeah.
that is my biggest hesitation is like as a creative, as a writer, as a photographer, as an artist, like it does take a lot of time to create these pieces, to create this stuff and intellect and thought process. And AI is just like depleting that. Like there's going to be so many jobs. I've watched so many YouTube videos about this, uh, just different, the past few months, not recently, but I would say probably like February, March, April. I probably watch 100 different AI things. And like, I didn't really know about it. A customer had told me about it, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like the beginning of the end, or the continuing to be the beginning. Like the AI is going to take over now. They feel emotions, and now they have opinions, and they're uh, um okay. So I have a funny story about AI and this letter thing. So with our son, we have always, when he wanted something that was something we didn't feel comfortable with, I'd ask him to write a proposal ever since he was young, 5 or 6, or a little bit
5
older,
or 6?
when he
Oh,
wanted Minecraft. I said, okay, well, write me a proposal about why you think you should get Minecraft. And I feel like I wanted him to critically think about different aspects, um and make a case for himself, really. So um so he's done that, and then I guess maybe it was last year he wanted a snake, and I was like, no, write me a proposal. And this boy, my 16-year-old, um did a 12-point power presentation of a 12-page power presentation of why, and he did all the research, like, this is the habitat, and this is the pros, and this is the cons, and this is how much it's going to cost. And he did all the research, and um and then the snake got out of the cage. Still, we never found it, and he wanted another one. So I'm like, no, but he did the whole proposal all on his own. I didn't even tell him to write a proposal because the answer was no. And he presented it, and like, when you put, I'm like, he was going to buy it with his own money, and so we said yes again. So anyways, this happened. We were talking with him about AI a few months ago, just about how it's prevalent in school and people writing reports and all of these things. So
right.
he wanted to go to a concert that we didn't really approve of. So he texted this to me and my husband. Dear mom and dad, I hope this letter finds you both in good health and high spirits. As your dedicated and responsible son, I come to you today with an exciting proposition that I would sincerely hope you consider. This summer, an incredible opportunity has presented itself. Okay, he lost me here. I was like, this is not him. Anyways, this is the whole, like, all the points on why we should let him go to this. And then at
Concert?
the end, thank you for your time, consideration, and unwavering support throughout the years. Your guidance has shaped me into the person I am today, and I promise to approach this opportunity with utmost responsibility, with heartfelt gratitude and love. So he sent that, and I was like, wow, good for you. And then I was like, oh, he's duping me. Like, this is not him writing this. And then I kind of felt like betrayed. Like, this is really rude that he is sending me this text that he just generated in an AI, probably in 15 seconds.
15 seconds.
Yeah. So we talked about it, and he said it was a joke because we had just talked about AI a couple nights before this. We were talking with him, and he was just a joke about it. But um it feels very disingenuous whenever AI can just produce this thing and it's sent along and it looks like, wow, but that's not it's not coming from the person. I don't know. I don't like any of it.
Yeah, and you have a good point. As as in it's not coming from the person, and when I'm trying to get to is art, okay? People that like the art enthusiasts and art, people that like collect art, I don't think they just like the picture. It makes them feel something because when you're painting or when you're making something, you're putting your energy into it, like you're communicating. It's not just a picture,
I
there's
agree.
more to it, there's like something spiritual in there. My phone is getting warm. And I'm gonna get a fan or something. Um,
Do you want me to pause?
but so
Finish your thought.
yeah, finish my thought. Okay. Um, so for that, yes, AI could generate pictures and things that gather a bunch of images and make its own and spit it out there, and people be like, wow, that's really good, but you won't get that feeling that you feel because there's no feeling put into it. Similarly to that text that you're saying, you're like, this is great, and
Yeah.
then you were like, wait, doesn't sound like him.
Yeah.
This doesn't, I mean, but this is, I say this right now at the very beginning of everything, and they could probably evolve AI to make it sound more like the person itself. Um, but as far as like art and stuff goes, and the real like art enthusiasts and stuff, they love the art because of how it makes them feel when they look at it, because the person that made it was putting feeling into it, and AI doesn't do that. So that's one positive thing.
For now, I guess. I don't know. Okay, do we want to pause so you
Yeah.
can? Okay,
Yeah.
let's pause.
Let me get the fan.
We'll be back continuing this convo about AI. All right. Michelle has a fan on her melting phone in California, and we're back. And we were talking about artificial intelligence and just the different ramifications in society and our lives. And um, we had talked about it, Michelle, you and I, about AI, about even your job. Like, what do you
Yeah,
think about, like,
right.
so talk more about that. I could give a recap, but you would say better.
Yeah, I
It's
mentioned
scary. AI is going to take over the world, essentially, is what I'm saying. Like I said before, as a creative, as an artist, as a writer, like it takes hours for me to put something together and to write something with,
yeah,
heartfelt and my experiences, and you could just plug in something and it would come up with this perfectly curated, no typo thing that it would take me hours to create. So
right.
so
Similarly, yeah, I design tools, jigs, fixtures, things to hold, um, help make custom parts for aerospace, automotive. Everything has its own shape and its own um, defined geometric features, and I spend hours making tools, designing tools to assist with making these parts. And um, luckily, the company that I work at currently, um, they're the only ones that can do what they do. So I don't see anyone making a program with AI for this particular company that I work at. But they can make a general thing, and it would definitely help me cut time, but it wouldn't take over as far as now in 2023. I'd love to see this video in 2040
no.
and see where we're at then. But right now, but I need to be on top of it, and to use it as an aid versus let it take over.
So okay, I remember specifically it's July 2023 right now. It was probably in like March or April. We had heard Me and JR had heard something about AI, whatever, and I was like, what is all this chatter about this? So we searched it and we're reading all these articles because Chat GBT came out, was like made public in November, I think. So
Yeah,
a handful of months after. And I read this article that just the capacity of it. So they gave Chat GBT, they put in parameters. We want to market this product. And in 30 minutes, it had created a website, an email campaign, content, like all of these things, like to launch it, which I feel like, oh my gosh, I have a photography business. I've like worked diligently. I felt so many things about it. Like on one hand, I want to say no, like I don't want something like that to take over all the creative aspects of those components. And I just don't even want to open the door to it. I don't even want to dabble. I don't want to support this. I don't want to. But then on the other hand, what an incredible tool it can be.
Oh, yeah.
Personally, I'm grappling with that. Like even with our this podcast here, I was doing some research on different tools for podcasts and stuff, and there was I saw this thing about this article about 10 different AI um, tools that you could use for it. And I was like, oh, that would be amazing. It would be a great tool. But then I feel like I'm succumbing to it and agreeing with it and supporting it and getting sucked into it versus I'm not gonna like we were talking about last episode,
Yeah,
like I'm not gonna do it. I don't know.
yeah.
That's where I'm at right now. Like I want to dabble. Like it sounds like it could be an incredible tool, but also it
Mhm.
takes out so many components of the creative aspect. But kind of like you said with your letter to the coach, it created something like an outline and a draft that you can modify and use and change however. So it takes all of that. Okay,
Trying to
I think I'm convincing
brainstorming.
myself pro AI right now. I think wait for our next podcast. There's going to be all these like great things from AI.
Um, yeah, no, I was also exactly. I no, 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 but
Yes.
I there's no fighting it. It's happening whether you like it or not, and it's
Yeah.
not giving in. Like it's giving for me. It's giving in so that I can be knowledgeable. I'm not going in blindly. I'm going in using my wisdom, and I'm being mindful when I'm not just, oh, this is great and just take over. I'm more, what going in with intent of using it as a tool and how can it help me. And I'm also um I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the words. Also to not just intent, yeah, just being mindful of it. Going in with wisdom and also cautious. I'm not just, oh, free for all. It's I'm careful. I'm not just gonna let it take over. I need to use it wisely. There we go. Use it wisely.
I kind of feel like when smartphones came out, like I'm at this point where I'm like, nope, I'm using my flip phone. I don't care how amazing smartphones are. I'm not buying into it. I don't support. I'm feeling like my resistance of like
Oh,
when you
yeah.
open the door and dabble, it's kind of like, but you're right. It's here. It's part of life, and we need to be versed in it and be
Yeah.
aware. And we can use because if I'm not using it as a tool, I'm going to be in the dark ages left behind where all these other
Yeah.
people are using it as a tool. And I don't know. Uh,
Yeah.
Stupid technology.
Yeah.
Love and hate it. Even actually, reminds me whenever we first gave our son, oh, Roxy's making an appearance back there.
Oh, we
Roxy,
love Roxy. Roxy is
Roxy.
the but we had a dog growing up, Australian Shepherd. Her name was Sheila.
Sheila. Mm-hmm.
She was my best friend.
Yes.
Um, and she died when she was 10 or 11. Roxy is like 13, 14,
Hmm.
and she looks so young and she looks so good. I'm petting her right now. She looks so Um, what I'm trying to say is people ask how old she is, and I'm like, she's 14, and they're like, no way. She's really good for a 14-year-old German Shepherd. Um, but she is slowing down a lot, and I'm gonna cherish this video because I don't know how much long we have with her.
She's well loved. She's lived a good
She I mentioned our dog growing up because if reincarnation is real, she is our dog.
life.
She's Sheila.
Oh,
Uh, I never met another dog like Sheila
oh.
until her. She, it, it's a different breed. It's still a shepherd, but acts just like her. Uh,
Have you seen that movie, A Dog's Purpose? Where the dog keeps I think that's the movie where the dog keeps getting reincarnated into different have you seen
Pets for the same person.
No, different
Oh,
dogs for different owners.
oh,
You would love
I
that.
need to watch that. I
Yes.
need to watch that. What's
I'm
it called?
pretty
A Dog's
I
Purpose?
think so. Yeah, I'll have to
I need to
confirm
watch
after.
that. Yeah.
I have come here. Come on, it's doggy time. Come here. Come here.
But yeah, show us your dog.
She's right at my feet. She's
Hi.
right under the desk right here. This is Penny.
Hi,
And
Penny.
I've never loved a dog as much as I love Penny. Yes, I love
Oh,
you too. We had a Welsh Corgi before named Chica. Loved her, but no, I mean, she was just a dog. I You've
to
had
you.
great connections with animals ever since Sheila. I wasn't connected with Sheila in that way. She passed away at 13 years old, and then like our house was so empty and sad, and so we found Penny at the pound, and so we rescued her, and she brings me so much joy. She is just the cutest dog. So I get it now, but I
You
never
get
had
it
that
now.
connection before. Yes.
No.
So
Yeah.
doggy time. That's Penny
Doggy time. Thank you for sharing.
sitting at my
You're,
feet right here.
yeah, so sweet.
Um,
Animals are great. I love animals. They don't judge you. They love you unconditional. That they're a true example of unconditional love that
mhm.
we should all
Aspire to.
aspire, embrace, adopt. Yes.
Um, Technology. I was saying, like, I feel like the flip phone thing. Whenever we gave our son a cell phone, he was 11, and it was a lot younger than I wanted, but we were moving from California to here, and we figured we'll give him a cell phone. We didn't know what life was going to be like here, and but we had the big talk with him about like it's a tool. You can use it for good and for bad. Like you're going to have access to a lot of things, and we do have parental controls. We've used a few different parental controls over the years if we've done research. Right now we use Custodo. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a weird name. And we
Like
get it.
custody,
Huh?
like you spell it kind of like custody, but it's custodio. Custodo.
Oh no, that's not it. Sorry, Custodio, custodio.
Mm, custodio.
Um, and so we have that on, we've always had parental controls over it, but regardless of what's on his phone, he has access. Kids are going to have access to, if other parents don't have that, their cell phones.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that we really talked with him about was it can be used for good or for bad. Like,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's how it is with AI. Like we can use it for good or for bad,
Right.
personally and culture as a society. Like
Yeah.
I was thinking whenever we were taking a break about the Jetsons, that cartoon. I'm like, we just skipped over Rosie. Like all of a sudden, where are those robots? Where's Rosie the robot to
Oh,
help
she's
us?
coming. She's coming.
And now we're
They're
in
coming.
Terminator. We've moved like
Oh,
it's coming quickly. It's
yeah.
all coming quickly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It's all coming
Wow. Poor
quickly.
Rosie.
Poor Rosie. I want a
Yeah,
Rosie.
I remember so you and I are 90s kids. Remember Inspector Gadget, where she would
Yes.
talk to him on her
Watch.
wrist?
Yeah.
And what are you wearing right now?
Yep.
Uh, can you see people on there?
No, but my son will call, not yet. My or not this version. It's the Apple Watch. I don't know. No video calls, but um he had a baseball game the other day and my phone was in my purse and we were loading up after and he called me and I could just like you could just take calls from, so here I was like talking to my watch and yeah.
Yeah, Inspector Gadget.
I love that
For
cartoon.
the younger people, if you haven't seen it, go look it up and you'll see that she talks on the phone on her watch.
Watch from like
And
decades ago. Her name was Penny, right?
Penny,
Yeah.
yeah. And that wasn't too long ago. I What I mean by that is it was in the 90s. It was a few decades ago, but when we watched it, we were like, that is not happening in our lifetime. It
Yeah.
seemed like maybe when we were old ladies, but here we are. You're talking on your
Watch
phone.
on my watch phone.
Yeah,
I
on
think
your yeah.
that's the scary thing about AI. I know that there was like an open letter written by all the top tech executives and owners and stuff, saying we need to pause this for like six. They were just asking for a 6 months pause because like it was just happening
Taking
really, really fast.
yeah,
It was
it's
out there.
evolving.
We need to pause it. We need to see what kind of constraints we need to put on it, or oh, there's so much about it. Okay, my favorite podcast is Russell Brand. He is phenomenal. Have you ever seen him? I'm sure I've told you. I mean,
I
it's all
love his
political,
podcast.
huh?
I love his podcast. I like
You
his
love
podcast.
it? You watch
I
it?
do. I
I
do.
didn't know that. Okay, so he's on Rumble now, but he's transitioned because of the whole like um, blockage constraint of speech or whatever. Um, yeah, so I did not know that you watched him. Okay, I love him, and what I love about him is that he talks about all aspects and all views, and it's not slanted one way or the other. It's just here's the information and make of it what you. We know his views, but um yeah, it's just evolving so quickly. I think that's a concern, is that okay, we have this AI thing that can do this now, and how is it going to be evolved
Yeah.
in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years? It's just happening very, very fast.
Right. And that letter you mentioned was concerning because they wrote that letter, that all the top people that are like, this is getting, we're the top people and we're telling you
Concern.
this
Yeah,
is way over our heads, and they didn't listen.
they didn't listen. Yeah,
That's the you you said that was, I mean, yes, please write that letter, but it's not listening, it's not being listened, so it's evolving beyond our control, their control. Like they want to like really investigate and make sure that they put the right filters in or the right constraints
parameters.
in,
Yeah,
and not let it get it get ahead of itself. Similarly to like social media and stuff, like social media was a great tool in the beginning, 2007, 2006, 2005, but it has evolved into something
a whole nother beast.
that I don't think it was ever intended to, but it evolved, and it's taken a good 15, 20 years. This is evolving months, not years.
Quickly.
That's the concerning part. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Um, and actually, on the same vein on that is I'm sure had no idea about the cultural and societal ramifications of this beast that, it's like a snowball and it just keeps
Yeah,
growing and growing and
yeah,
impacting so many different things.
right.
Originally, I guess, I don't was Facebook, well, MySpace.
MySpace
Remember the good
started.
old days? You could
It
like
started it all, yeah. In
you could
2003.
you could change your page, and I had music on there, and you can make it, tailor it, customize it however you want. But Facebook was like the next big one that really took off, and it originally was, I saw the documentary like to rate hot girls or
Yeah,
something like
in the
that.
college. Yeah,
And here it is, like
it is. Yeah,
filtering information and tailoring information to what you see. You were talking about algorithms and how it like I do love that aspect where I'm like, hey, I'm looking at something like this, and then it creates all these other things. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know about that, like to buy. So a camera purse. I was thinking specifically. I was looking for like a really good camera bag that I could put my laptop and like I Google searched it, but then it was feeding me all these ads and discounts. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm in the market. I kind of like that, but
yeah, I think that was the point of it, but it
right,
evolved into
uh, political and
political.
yeah,
Everyone's point
societal
of view,
views and
it took variety, yeah.
yeah. And that's my fear of AI is that there's going to be all these unknown ramifications as it continues to perpetuate and grow. And it was just unknown. Although that open letter was that point of like, hey, we don't know how this is going to go or how fast or where it's going, and we need to like
Yeah,
pause to figure it out. But
yeah.
oh, technology, it's a love hate thing. How so? Do you have any more thoughts about this? Because I'm going to transition.
Um, this is a great pausing moment, Desiree. I need
Okay.
to move
Okay.
myself. I'm in the sun.
Oh yeah. Okay. Pausing
Yeah.
for sun removal.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we are transitioning. Michelle had to move her phone back because it was getting hot again, and we have limited time, I think. But one thing we've been talking about technology and artificial intelligence, and one thing I did want to talk about was just the role of technology in our lives. It's something that we all have to manage and learn how to deal with. Um, Something that I personally have struggled with through the years. And as parents, how old are your kids, Michelle?
A 6 and 2.
6 and 2. My kids are 16 and 10. And like it's such a battle to have to help teach. This is uncharted territory. So my husband and I would say every generation deals with new things, uncharted territory. But I feel like this is so prominent and prevalent in our lives that um, we've battled it for years. So when my son was like, I would say 5 or 6, he wanted we sports, and I thought, well, that's great. Like he can we sports. It was like interactive, so he could play tennis and do all the things and ninja fruit slice or whatever that was. And so we have used it as a motivator in his life. Whenever he was around that age, he had a lot of behavioral problems, and so we had a whole token system that we created that he could earn his time on electronics. It wasn't a given. He had to have like good behavior at school and do his chores at home. And it was a whole checklist, and it has evolved through the years. So we had this whole chart of what he needed to do. And we had clothespins. So when he did it, he'd put the clothespin that it was done on the side, and then he would earn tokens. And my thought on that was that every token was 30 minutes. So we had it like allocated appropriately so he couldn't earn more than 2 hours a day. But what I loved about that was that it was earned electronic time, not just a free for all given. And he had to use math. So when he would count all of his tokens, he's like, okay, mom, I want to play 2 hours. So I'm going to use 4 tokens. So he's like calculating this and can put the time in perspective of electronic use, because I surely know I could scroll through and look, and hours would pass, like I would have no concept of time, and kids surely don't. So that's what we've done for the past 10 years. Probably when he was 12 or 13 we phased out of that, but that whole time he's been having to earn his electronic time. We were just laughing with this with him the other day. I remember he was like 9 or 10, and he'd cry to me. He's like, "Mom, I just wish you didn't love me so much and care how much I played on electronics." Because his friends could play like all day, all night long, and we were really regulated. You have to earn it, and you have to use it wisely and be intentional about your use. And but I what I love about that is that he knew that we loved him to protect him from it all. And unfortunately, I it's horrible to say and I feel bad about it, like I could easily cry right now, but we have not been that intentional with our daughter. Like, so she's 10 now, and
Mm.
5 years ago, we were moving from California to Ohio, and she was 5. And it was like, yeah, watch cartoons. We're going to pack the house, clean the house, sell the house, plan the move. Like it's so easy to default on electronics to keep them busy and out of our hair while we're doing other things. And I
Yeah.
guess that's my sister confession today, is my parental failure in that way of, like, life can just get so busy and you use it as a default to keep them occupied and busy out of our hair while we're doing the other things. And with my son, we were very intentional, and with my daughter, it was easy to kind of just be loose, and it's a problem now. So we're re-implementing the token system, and she has to do certain chores, and she earns a certain amount of 1 token for everything she needs to do, and she'll be able to like cash that in. So we've tried it. And the other thing about that, I'm talking so much, I'm sorry, but it is hard work as parents to stay on top of it. Like,
Yeah.
you can implement something, sure, that sounds great, but like to keep it going is a whole nother beast
Right.
in of itself. Like checking off, did she do her chores, giving her the tokens, and then she like anytime she wants to like cash them in. And
Keeping
so
track of all
that's,
that
yeah,
on top of
that's my
everything else that you gotta
everything
be on
else.
top of, just adulting.
Right. Yeah. So that is like managing technology. It's hard enough, I think, personally, as we think about living life mindfully and intentfully in the moment. I've seen some beautiful memes of where it's like I have to find it and show it another time. But whenever you're on your cell phone right in front of your kids, what is that telling your kids? Like whatever's on here is more important than them and whatever things they're going through. And I see it all the time at restaurants, and parents, everyone's just vegging out. Like it could be used as a tool for good and for bad. And I think relationally, it has just been horrible for families, for relationships.
Very true. That's another main big reason I stopped social. What are I guarantee you 80-90% of those parents with kids are on social media, right?
I would say
Most
that's
likely.
yeah.
um I lose my phone all the time because I don't have social media on it, and I don't
Yeah.
need to keep checking checking anything. I don't post, I don't check, I don't I'm not engaged in that. So I don't the only time I do use it for my business, because I have a business, but
Email.
huh?
Emails.
Emails. Emails and reading up on stuff, but I try to do it at the end of the day and not when I have my time with my kids. Um and but it's very intentional. It's not default. I could totally default and read there's so many things I want to read up on and listen to on my phone. And I had to be intentional about it, of putting my phone
Yeah.
away and just being with them. And I see a big difference as far as my relationship with my children. Doing that, they want to talk to me, they want my time, they want, because I give it to them, so they want it. They know that I will give it to them, so they want it, and I see it. um and I give it to them. I'll stop whatever I'm doing and go with them, because they they need that,
They need,
especially right now in their developmental years of
right.
what is it, from 1 to 6 or 7, they're
It's formative
oh,
years, like how they're treated. Yeah.
formative years. Yeah. So I make sure, I mean, if I'm eating and they take me away, there's a thing called boundaries that I don't do right now. I'll do it later. But right now, if they need me to go somewhere, yes, I could eat later. I don't need, sure. I don't know. That's just how I feel. And this earning your screen time is something I learned from you, Desiree, and I implemented it in my own way of our dad. So anytime we do something and he liked it, he would say, "That's the
It's
ticket."
the ticket.
So
Yes, it's the ticket.
I give him monopoly money, but I call
Yeah.
it a ticket. And one ticket is 1 hour, because I every 30 minutes is way too much for me to keep track of. So 1 hour, and I do set a timer. And I tell them, when you hear the beep, you,
Time's
unless
up.
you have another ticket, it's done. And he does it.
Yeah.
And then I fade it away, because that's what happens with
Hard to
life.
maintain, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And he told me a few months ago, I want to say uh 6 months ago, he said he's like, "Can we do tickets again?" Like, and I was
Yeah.
giving him like free time on his phone, but
Yeah.
he liked earning it and
Yes.
cashing it in. Like, he
Yeah.
liked it. And I'm
Yes.
like, "Oh yes, of course, yes." So we're doing it now.
Awesome.
Um, I'm very lenient on what it takes to earn a ticket. I don't have a chart. I just, if we're cleaning up, you help us clean, I'll give you a ticket. You need to go to karate. He hates karate. I'll give you a ticket. He says, I don't want a ticket when it comes to karate. He's like, I'll
Because he doesn't
bypass
want
the
to
ticket.
go, right?
Yeah. I'm like, okay. And you don't get to play games. He's like, but I don't want to play games. He says, I don't want to play games because of that. But also with the karate thing, I- everyone I've ever met that have told me that they grew up in karate or some sort of martial arts discipline, they're amazing people. And I never met anyone that was a jerk or an a-hole that were like, I was in karate when I was little. I never met anyone that so I put him in there for that, for the
Discipline,
foundation,
respect, yeah.
discipline, um, and confidence, to know that he can, any situation, he can handle it. Um,
But he hates it.
but
And
he hates it
give him a
right now.
ticket to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, and he's like, "Forget it, I don't want any electronic, I don't want a ticket." No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
But
it's
I
so
know it's for the good. I
me
know
too.
it'll do him good in the long run, so I'm sticking to it, but it's hard. It's hard work. It's a lot.
We should talk about that next episode about helping our kids persevere when they don't want to. Like, I think whenever any kid starts something new and they're not good at it, they want to drop out and they want to stop. And it's so hard because you're like, yeah, you really suck at it. I'm like, it's really hard to watch you do this week to week, but who's good at anything whenever they first start, and like teaching them perseverance. And maybe at some point we can talk, how we've navigated that. And quite
Yeah.
honestly, if you're watching this on YouTube, we want your feedback. We want you to comment.
Yeah.
How do you guys navigate social media, technology? How do you guys implement boundaries in your home, in your life, with your children? Like, we really want to hear your victories and your challenges and your battles. Like, we're sharing our experiences, quite honestly, to open a conversation, and maybe you'll be inspired
Yeah.
and empowered. Maybe you'll have suggestions. We are always open to suggestions. This is a journey of learning and growing, and we want to hear your guys' feedback. So please, this is Sister Confessions, and we're inviting everyone in. If you have a confession, please post it and make me feel better about myself, because whenever I hear other people are struggling, I'm like, okay, good, I'm not the only one. It is hard navigating electronics with children, and
Yeah.
even like it's easy, you work all day and you're like, oh, I just want to veg out, and it's just this mindless thing. When before we gave our son social media, we had a social media contract that I created, that we went over with him and signed. And one of the things is that he had to watch some documentaries. So we watched some documentaries. There's some beautiful documentaries on there about how social media really creates the algorithms to tie you in, and they have special features to make you be compelled to continue to track and like engage you and hook you. And yeah, it was
Yeah.
really,
Wow.
I had watched them before I watched them with my boy to make sure that it was appropriate, for not like it would be inappropriate, but that it was like the
The message you wanted to give
exactly, because
for him to
several,
learn.
exactly, there was several of them out there, and I want to make sure it was good. Some of them were a little bit like, he was like, I just want to, hang out with my friends online, and it was more societal things. But I wanted him to see how it influences society and everything. So yeah, so we
That's
want to
good.
hear your
That's
feedback,
good.
and we would love your input and suggestions and your experiences. So this is a conversation, like it's a conversation with me and Michelle and all of you. Like, this is the point of this. This is why we're doing this. And if you're enjoying it, subscribe so you'll get our notifications of our new podcast.
Okay.
But please comment. Like, we want to hear about what you have to say about this and what you're doing. And we want to learn and grow. So any last thoughts, Michelle?
Um, I usually do have last thoughts, but not on this one.
Okay,
Uh,
that's good.
this
Your
one is
brain is melting, your phone is
I'm
melting. It's like 100 degrees now.
not on this one. I just want to peace out.
All right, tune in next week and we'll join in on another conversation. All right, Michelle, great to talk with you. All right,
It's
bye.
always great to talk to you. Bye.
Love you.